Katie Wyndham. Who do you think are some players to watch for the Crimson Tide this weekend?
I think one starting on offense is Richard Young with Jay Miller out. Can he run the ball effectively? Can he help protect Ty? Can he do what he needs to do? Can he help Alabama establish a run game? Just because it's like it seemed like the coaches were so high on Jay Miller throughout camp. And then like ever since his injury, when we're like, what guys have been stepping up? It seems like they're like not as high on any of them. So can Richard Young, prove that he is an Alabama SEC caliber running back and can handle a load on offense, at least while Jay Miller's out? And then on the defensive side of the ball, I'll go with James Smith. Kind of, he's been dinged up a little bit throughout camp. So especially with Tim Keenan out, I think he's a guy that everyone's kind of thinking is going to have a big year, has the potential to have a big year. And so can he up front be disruptive, especially in a game that can potentially be, weather affected, and can he really affect the quarterback? Can he help pick up some of the slack of Tim Keenan, even though they're not exactly like the same build? So that would be on the defensive side of the ball. And then, I think the most obvious is Ty Simpson in his first start. How is he going to handle the environment, the pressure of the start, any adversity that comes his way? Because I think that was one of the biggest issues we saw with Jalen Milroe throughout his career, really, is sometimes when adversity came, he did not respond well. It was like one mistake happened and then like an avalanche of mistakes happened because it was just, it was off the cliff. And so, how will Ty respond to inevitable mistakes? And we've all been talking about him all offseason. We've been talking about the quarterback competition. We've seen very little of Ty in games. Kalen DeBoer answered my question this week when I asked about it being his first start, and he was like, well, he's pretty experienced. I'm like, not really. Like, he's had very limited game action. And so this is going to be his first start. And so, just kind of how does he handle all of that, being the Alabama quarterback? And I think it'll give us the tough thing for me for this game is if it's really bad weather affected, then I don't think we're going to get a true picture of what Alabama is on offense or defense. But if it's relatively normal, I think this is going to give us a good starting point, at least to see what Ty Simpson in this offense can be this season.
Mason Woods, MA Woods _ on the Twitter machine. Your 3 players to watch are
top 3 picks still on the board for me. First off, I'm gonna go with Isaiah Horton. I want to see what he brings to the offense. I am very just intrigued by him as a player. I think he's a big time receiver, and I just want to see what kind of element he brings. I think his body type is different from really anybody else that they have, and I just want to see what kind of dynamic element he brings to the offense. Really, that's it. Next, and another guy really kind of looking for the same thing out of him, Danny Lewis. I just want to see what we get out of the tight ends. We've been waiting, kind of talking me and you about what is going to be the tight end that gives you that receiving option, that gives you that, we need to stretch the field a little bit with another guy. So I just want to see if one of those guys steps up. And I think Danny Lewis has the opportunity to be that guy. And then on the defensive side, I already mentioned that I'm watching Jeremiah Beeman. Katie mentioned James Smith. Obviously, those are the 2 probably biggest ones that we're looking for. But I want to see where Nakai Hill-Green fits into the defense. You mentioned Deontay Lawson earlier. I think he is healthy. I think he is fine, good to go. But I just want to see where Nakai Hill-Green works in here. I think they brought him in for a reason. He's a very experienced player. I think he probably has a good grasp of what's going on when he's out there. I just want to see where he fits into the rotation.
I think my 3 players to watch are Quay Russaw and Bray Hubbard for the same reasons, but opposite. Quay Russaw, Bray Hubbard, and Wilkin or Formby. Yeah,
love that.
That's my 3 players to watch this weekend. And why? Quay Russaw is going to basically be your read key the entire game in some of these read options and some of these speed options. Can Quay Russaw set an edge? Can he be decisive going after it? Either he's probably going to be on quarterback responsibility, not on pitchman responsibility. So can he be decisive in his role? Don't be frozen out there going, which guy do I take? I think Quay Russaw, we've heard it freakiest guy on the defense, the freakiest athlete on the team. I want to see Quay Russaw take a big step this season. And so I think Quay Russaw is a huge key to this game because you're going to have to set the edge like a big fella, like a real man out there playing wolf. But you're also, in passing situations, going to have to get after the passer. Can he effectively get after the passer? We've talked all offseason about Alabama's defense getting the almost sacks, getting the LT Overton fingertips away, and Thomas Castellanos, does he slip out of the fingertips and go for 8, go for 12, go for 4-yard positive, turn a 4-yard negative into a 4-yard positive? You're going to have to get him on the ground ASAP. So I think Quay Russaw on one edge, but I think Bray Hubbard coming on the opposite side, filling the alley in run support, is going to be huge on the opposite side. So you really need to keep Florida State in basically inside the box, inside the tackles, and Quay Russaw and Bray Hubbard will be doing that. Now, Bray, you're also going to be out there in pass coverage, and Quay will just a hair, but Bray in pass coverage, I think you're going to have a lot of opportunities to, is Castellanos pressing a little bit? Is he tricked and Bray can jump a route? I think that I could easily see that, because I don't see Castellanos field. I see him hitting quick outs. I see him field. I see him trying to dump it to a tight end right over the middle, and on the edges of the offense. Will Bray Hubbard be able to jump any of these routes? But you're also going to be huge in run support. When the ball gets flipped out, when it becomes a speed sweep, will Bray Hubbard be able to make tackles in the open field? We've seen him do it before. I have confidence that he will be able to do it. I think those two guys are going to be really, really heavily responsible for shutting down this Florida State offense. And then on the offensive line, I think due to Ty Simpson's first start and due to the running, some question marks, you got to go with an offensive lineman here. Will you protect Ty Simpson? If you protect Ty Simpson, I think he's going to operate fairly well, keeping you on schedule, checking it down to the right guys, moving through his progression, maybe hitting a big play to your boy Isaiah Horton. But Wilkin, there were so many questions about you last year. And as the hometown kid, Northridge High School's own, everybody wants Wilkin to perform well. And you've heard great things about him in the spring and great things about him in the summer and in the fall. And he looks like a man's man now. He doesn't look like a big kid. I think that this is really Wilkin Formby's big moment to shut down. They brought in a pass rusher from Nebraska. They've got a 3-3-5 defense, very similar to Alabama's, just a hair different. So he's going to be used to going against a lot of the same scheme. Will you be able to drive the football and run off of left and right tackle? Not just Caden Proctor, top NFL draft pick. You're going to have to balance the offense and play well at right tackle. Alabama, the last how many years? I mean, JC was great. JC was great, but after JC, in between, before JC, you had Chris Owens. You had all kinds of questions at right tackle for years. And last year, you did the right tackle carousel with Elijah Pritchett. We've already talked about Elijah Pritchett. Wilkin Formby, will you shore up the right tackle position? So my three players to watch this week are Quay Russaw, Bray Hubbard, and Wilkin Formby.